Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Full Spectrum Survival interview. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Jeff. You may know Jeff as the Berkey guy. So, Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for this opportunity to talk to you. I
It's
uh, I enjoy talking to people like this. So go ahead.
Berkey is really a product that we stand behind whenever someone asks us personally for our opinion, and we say, they ask us what water purification should I go for? I give them two things. I say, one, go to Walmart and get the Sawyer Mini for $19, and then go to Berkey, go to goberkey.com and buy your Berkey. And those are the two things you're going to need. One, the $18 anyone can get it, give it to a family if you don't want it pack, and then the Berkey Black. Can you tell me, and just to give the audience an understanding of how dangerous waterborne disease is, every 90 seconds, a child on this earth dies from a waterborne disease, and every 15 seconds, a child in India dies from it. In India, diarrhea alone causes more than 1,600 deaths per day, which is a statement that is hard to believe in our modern first world. So can you tell me from your standpoint, giving and selling a product to the world that you believe in, why is the purification of waterborne disease so important?
Well, I think that you brought up some statistics I haven't heard, and it makes sense. I mean, there's over 1 billion people in India, and it's sad what's going on over there. In America, we may not have that. People may not be dying. The thing that is going on in Flint, Michigan, is not necessarily rare, but the that in the media it's fizzled out a lot. But those pop up every once in a while. But we don't have people dying in those situations like India necessarily. But it's those diseases are real. They happened. They can be they can be in your water.
Right.
People have lead and even boil your water alerts constantly throughout the United States. There's, in Google, water boil water alerts. They're constant throughout the U.S. Like we might not be dying from water, but our water still has things in it that we need to remove from it.
Right.
Lead would be one. Even if you may not be in Flint, your water may have a high level of lead, and people now are getting concerned about fluoride.
Sure.
They're getting
And
concerned
that's
about.
another thing too, is that it's not just what, like you said, in the first world here, the amount of lead or the amount of contaminants inside water isn't going to, the person's not going to succumb to that disease within weeks because it's under what the government considers to be acceptable levels. So it's like it's the slow kill. If it only affects you over 60 years, well, it's inconsequential and it doesn't really matter from a administrative standpoint. But to you and I and everybody listening, it still matters.
I agree totally. And no, you said it. That was amazing. I just think that even though people can still, we are not threatened by that necessarily in our water supply on a large scale, and we'll
Right.
have 1,600 people dying, I believe you said, every day. But we do have people affected by water, like you said, slowly, but also just boilers or just people that have well water, have water from a lake, river, stream, people that camp, people that are in a cabin, people that have questionable water sources, people that have ponds, and they just want to. People sometimes on the other end of the spectrum is they just want some peace of mind if they need to go get any of that water in their backyard. If they
Right.
need to go to a lake, a river, stream, creek, a ditch, they want confidence that they can actually do that. What they're finding in the store is not, I'm not talking about the Sawyer, but the usual Brita and Pure is not going to do
Uh,
anything for that,
right.
and so they need something there. They want to be prepared is another facet of the Berkeys, is where the Berkeys really started, was on preparedness, the mindset, getting water out of a contaminated source. And even if you're hiking, and you have a sport Berkey, you could, dip it in a flowing, river. I've done it in southern Utah, and or
Sure.
you just have a source with you while you're out in the woods, and or just out camping, and or just maybe you live in a trailer. I know a lot of people over the years have had trailers. They travel the United States in a trailer, and they love their Berkey. They don't know what source of water. Quite honestly, probably the main thing people love about getting out of their water with a Berkey, and it's not a very hard one to get out necessarily, is chlorine.
Sure. Yeah.
People, it changes your taste of your water like you wouldn't believe. People go from I will never drink my tap water to I love my Berkey tap. Now, I love my Berkey water, my tap water after it goes to the Berkey because I think it really strips that. I don't think it does strip the chlorine taste out of the water. So while we don't have problems with waterborne illnesses on our tap water constantly, hurting us, we've got other things here in the U.S.
That
that
concern us.
that concern us. Yeah, no, we don't really self fear. I don't really get crazy, but I do appreciate some of those stats to bring in a perspective that we are different here. We have an amazing water source, even if it does have have its issues.
Yeah. Well, and you
So,
look at, there are new concerns that pop up every day. Like you said, boil water concerns, things like that. But you've also have the new issue of fracking around the United States. And a lot of people are very concerned with wastewater. What's happening? Is it getting into their local tributaries? Is it getting into their water supply? Is it affecting their well? And here where we're at in Alabama, on a beautiful homestead. And when we got here and we started putting the water into our Berkey Black, my friend came over and he said, "Hey, this well's okay. We had it tested. It's high in potassium. Everything else is absolutely beautiful. Why are you still using your Berkey?" And for me, you hit the nail on the head. It's just that peace of mind that I don't even have to think about it, because not only do I know that the black is taking out potential contaminants, I also have near 4 gallons of water there, just always sitting on hand. If the well goes out, if power goes out, it just became part of my family's routine to keep the Berkey topped up, and that's all we use. So, I think you're absolutely right that there's a place for it in the preparedness spectrum, and then there's also a place for it just in the everyday use spectrum.
absolutely. I mean, I say it like this: is in the last few years, maybe 2 or 3 years, Berkey has become a household name where people are buying it, not necessarily with the preparedness mindset, but the daily use. And just to give you a little bit added protection in your water, just in case you are pumping something up that you don't know. You just don't know.
Exactly.
I have well water here at one of my, here in Las Vegas, and it's some sweet water with a little bit of chlorine coming in the water, and I still put it through the Berkey, and it is delicious. And so it's just like, why your source doesn't have chlorine, mine does, but I just put it through there because it's an added confidence. I'm not testing my water every day or two, and I don't think anybody necessarily should unless they fear or have concerns, but or it's just it's a good idea. It's becoming a household name. It is a preparedness survival type of product to begin with, but I think they're breaking out. We're just seeing a load of people from all backgrounds, buying. Go ahead.
I think what's changing too is that preparedness and survival as a genre and as a lifestyle is broadening as well, not just in that regard, but in all regards. So it became in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was survivalism, was somebody who was motivated by a certain aspect of reality. Whereas now it's becoming the common understanding that you are lessening yourself. You are, not to be mean, but you are ignorant if you rely 100% on someone else for your survival. So it's just becoming broadened and common, where being able to go camping, start a fire, catch your own meat, those are just now everyday things. They're not fear-based. It's just a part of reality. We as humans have done this for millions of years, just like we have needed to drink water. And so water, as you know, Jeff, on the rule of threes, it's almost number one. You have 3 minutes without oxygen, and then you only have 3 days without water. And you can really only function about 1.5 to 2 days into that. And if you look at people around our first world modern society, especially, almost everybody is dehydrated to one degree or another. So the average person can really only last 1 to 1.5 days without water. And I'm a big proponent of using their gear now before a disaster strikes. So if you If you have
Absolutely.
a fire starter, get out there and use it now. If you're a firearm owner, get out there and train with it. Know how to put your tent up and put your water through your Berkey or through your filter today, so that when a disaster strikes, it's not a new big thing for your family. It's just the everyday go camping, get your water deal.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's more of a lifestyle. It's become a lifestyle. It was kookery back then, like you said, 60s, 70s, 80s. And
Mhm.
it was kookery even around Y2K, you could say. You're one of those crazy people.
Right.
And I've just seen, doing this for over 11 years, seen hundreds or thousands of people just say, you know what, I'm going to get it. Just, I'm going to have it there ready. Extended family members have them stored away. And it's becoming, it's nice. It's becoming more popular, I think, because people are realizing that they can't rely on others. And a lot of people say government, and that's true. But the age of relying on government, or, you need to,
Anyone.
yeah, it is. With the internet, it's really helped get the message out of preparedness. Yes, it sells a lot of fear, and I think a lot of it is completely baseless, but I think a lot of it is real. A
Yeah.
lot of it is real, especially with what happened with Flint, and even to an extent with Fukushima. I mean, obviously, I think it was American people just went crazy, but I think my point too would be with Fukushima. I realize it's like I'm grateful people are getting prepared more than ever daily. But then everybody wanted every product they could get their hands on,
Sure.
and nobody is going to have the product you need when you need it. And it did run out, and we had a month or two backup, and
Wow.
everything settled down, and we had it. But nobody's got food storage. Nobody's got a water filter sitting in a warehouse waiting for you to buy it. I
Yeah.
can't do that. The thing is based on in and out. Really, I try to carry some inventory, and we do. We have a steady amount of it, but there isn't anybody overseas that's making 1 million Berkeys and they're just ready for 1 million. It's just not like that.
So you would say
And
that the big takeaway there is probably if someone has it in their mind that, yeah, someday, okay, someday it's on I call it a futures list. If you're not going to buy it
I
today,
hear
you
you.
put it on your futures list. So if it's on someone's futures list, it's a good idea for them to bump it up and prioritize it, their
I
water
agree.
purification needs.
Exactly. I mean, well said. It's just that whole idea that I just can't. I remember just people were calling even food storage at that time. They were plopping down thousands of dollars. And I hear other stories where people are just plopping down stories and of other companies over the years. And it's not a fear thing to say we don't have enough if something like that happens. It's a prioritize it better, because you can't spend like $50,000, $100,000, and just, like you said, put it away, put all your
Yeah. Yeah.
preps away. You've got to use them,
Right.
and that's what I say. You got to use your item. You got to train. We've got front side out here in Prump, and you need to go over there and you need to firearms train. A lot of people do. I have a lot of customers who come our way, and we talk, and we coordinate, or just
Yeah. Make plans
it's
together.
customer relationship. It's really nice. So you know what I've learned over the years is just preparedness is a lifestyle. And hopefully your listeners, and no doubt they probably, most of them are, they're living this lifestyle every day the best they can. Even if they live in an apartment,
That's
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
they can still. I have friends and people and just customers who just do whatever they can, because you never know if you'll be out of that apartment. If you're young and you don't have a lot of money, your food storage may be under your bed, but it's going to get out of there one day and you're going to get yourself a house. And
Yeah.
that's just what happens. My wife and I, when we first got married, lived in an apartment,
Sure.
before I did Berkey's, so
Well,
anyway,
and here's kind of the deal with that too is, we're big advocates of the same thing, that if a person lives in an apartment, don't, or no matter what your living conditions are, if you're living with mom and dad, that's okay. Learn how to garden in a container. So you actually learn
yeah,
that skill. Learn how to put up a tent and go camping. Learn how to start a wetwood fire and go camping, and learn how to treat your water, because it is intimidating. You look at things like cholera, where it's a waterborne disease that affects the intestines, and the symptoms are really hard to stomach. You have watery diarrhea, vomiting that leads to dehydration and electrolyte imbalance, and it happens very quickly. So when a person that has never treated water before then looks at that stagnant puddle with that nasty algae growth nearby, they're going to be very intimidated. But if they are confident with their water purification system, it's no intimidation at all. You're just scooping it up and putting it in.
No, and I mean, you reminded me of a story that I had, and this just a quick one is I went to El Salvador with a friend for about a week and a half in 2002, and what happened in 2000 was I on the last couple of days I was there, 2002, last couple of days I was there, I had some food at somebody's house or some water, who knows what it was, I can't remember, and I got something real bad, and I've never had that happen since. I had some kind of virus in the stomach, and without going into too much detail, it did things that I've never experienced. And it was only for about a couple of days. It dehydrated me. It drained me. It's not something I talk about a lot publicly, but I learned from it, Berkey's in 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be bringing sport Berkeys. I'd bring my Berkey on the plane to El Salvador. I wouldn't touch there. I mean, you can still get it through the food, and that. But in El Salvador, I definitely would have had a Berkey with me at all times because it's just like
it's a good learning experience.
yeah, it was traumatic, and I survived, and it was amazing. I'm still shocked that what it probably was water based. It could have been food based, but also most likely was a water based. Infection.
Think about this too. If you were suffering those conditions, those symptoms of the waterborne disease or of the foodborne illness, if you were suffering those and you were also evacuating your family from an earthquake or getting out of the way of a wildfire, imagine how much what you personally suffered would have affected your ability to keep your family safe.
Absolutely. I mean, water is so vital. Just talking to people, it's so vital. It's so something that everybody needs to do is filter their water. And so ultimately getting a Berkey is just part of that.
Yeah. Can you tell me, Jeff, what the difference is? Because a lot of the people listening probably won't know. What's the difference between the ceramic filters and the Berkey Black?
No, and that's a great question. So the ceramics are over 150-year-old technology from Europe, from the British, and they started the gravity water, I would say with the British Berkefeld or with Dalton back then. And so the British are good. They last about 1,000 gallons per set of two. They've been around for a long time. They were sold during Y2K, but they remove, the basic E. coli, Giardia, chlorine, but they don't really treat pond water. The black elements that we've been selling with the big Berkeys and others, we sell more of those than the ceramic. Is really the contamination can be much more. You can get stagnant pond water. It can have I'd push the algae away, but you can put in water that is heavily contaminated and even green if you want. And I've seen people and myself seen these things and seen people even contaminate the top chamber with all kinds of funky stuff. And the black elements, the water comes out clear and drinkable and delicious. And it's, we could get more detailed about what's removed, but like I said, heavy metals, chlorine, E. coli, Giardia, bacteria, cysts, parasites. Berkey likes to stick with things that they can claim, but the black elements last up to 6,000 gallons. Personal experience is about 4 to 4.5 years from 2009 to 2013. We used a Royal Berkey and we're able to use it mostly on tap water. We used it, some out in the field, but we still used it for that time, and it was still after 4.5 years testing pure, and it was beautiful. It was a wonderful experience. So anyway, that's doing this as long as I have. You see a lot of success, so we're helping people. So anyway,
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on YouTube. To listen to this interview in its entirety without editing, please consider joining us on Patreon. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being here. I know that a lot of people are going to have questions, and I'll direct them over to you. Do you have an email address or a contact form on goberkey.com that everyone can go to and just ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to goberkey.com, GOBERKEY.com, or they can even call us at 877-886-3653. And there's a contact form there. My email's there. You can write a comment on this YouTube video, and I'll do my best to respond to that question. And just yeah, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. I hope this helped your listeners, and hopefully we'll be doing this again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. As always, everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at fullspectrumsurvival@gmail.com. If you have any questions regarding waterborne disease and kind of the things that we talked about or the figures that we talked about, feel free to email me. Water purification is a serious part of survival and preparedness, not just as we prepare for the unknowns of tomorrow, but also as we go camping and as we just take care of our family on a day-to-day basis. So please give it some consideration and think about how you are going to purify the water for your family now and in a disaster. From Kelly and I to you and yours, as always, stay safe and keep watch.